Welcome to clue number 10 of the Sundae Stars, y'all. Y'all look at my roses. These are right outside my studio, full in bloom. Aren't they so pretty? Guess what? Here are my freeze-dried beets. Do you like beets? Have you ever tried them freeze-dried? They are absolutely delicious. What a great little snack. And then yesterday I pressure canned some beets. These aren't pickled. They're just pressure canned beets. And we had some with our lunch today. They were phenomenal. So good and good for you. And I've been working on my bacon, y'all. I'm working on a homemade pizza crust. Doesn't that look so good? Deep dish pizza with homemade pizza crust. Y'all, I've been knocking Harlan's socks off. And look at my homemade noodles. This was homemade egg noodles with creamy asparagus. The asparagus with a cream sauce. And look at this, y'all. My first time ever making pretzels. I made pretzel bites. Let me just tell you, I'll be making more of these really quick. There's my quick update for the week. Let's go ahead and get started. So in clue number 10. Hi everybody, welcome to clue number 10 of Sundae Stars. How's your quilt coming along? Just a quick confession, I am still working on clue number 9. I'd say I'm halfway done with it. So I'm hoping to at least finish up clue number 9 during this week's Zoom. This week we're doing 2 different units, and I'm going to switch down there and show you what we're doing this week, but we're also assembling some chunks this week, so we're making some good progress. Now I have to try and focus because after watching the introduction video, all I want is some more pretzel bites. Those were so good. Do you want to take a look at our progress on this quilt so far? Let me pull that up on the screen. Quilt update. Here we go. Ta-da! Guess what? After this week, we're going to have 24 completed sashing units. But do you know what? If you can't tell by now, we still have 24 more to make. We're going to be making sashing pieces coming up in the next couple of weeks that go in the opposite direction as well. But the good news is after this week, we have 24 whole sashing pieces made. And check out the 4 corners of this quilt. Those quarter square triangles, is that what it's called? The little triangles that go in our corners, those will be finished after this week too. Isn't that exciting? So we're making some really great progress. Let's take a close-up view of the pieces that we're making this week. There we go, up on the screen. So our sashing pieces with little diamonds in the middle. Isn't that awesome? If you can't tell yet, and it's right here on the screen, on the edge of the screen, and I'm going to put an arrow pointing here. I wish I would have caught more of it in the picture, and I didn't even think about it till just now, but it's just popped right in my vision. This quilt is so cool because not only are we making blocks with stars, and some stars have stars within stars, but secondary patterns are going to make some stars as well. So that's really cool. So I don't know if you see that sashing coming down, but the little blocks that I had you cut out individually, right, with the dark pink fabric, once all the sashing is connected to those blocks, you're going to have a secondary star that pops right there, right in your sashing. Isn't that cool? And then the corner triangles. We're doing those this week too. So we're going to be assembling, we're going to be paper piecing 24 sashing pieces, right? And then we're going to connect those to the 2 sections we've already done, right? We did those last week. And then we're also going to connect the corner triangles this week too. So we're going to have some chunks of our quilt assembled after this week. So have I confused you yet? Let me pull you down to the pressing board. Let's take a look at the instructions for this week, and hopefully it makes more sense. So There's our progress photo. This week, you will need the 4 sections from clue number 5. So go in your bin and pull out your 4 sections that look just like this, right? From clue 5. There should be 4 of them. You'll need those. Put those off to the side. You'll also need the 24 sections that include clues 3, 7, and 9. They look like this, right? The longer one. 3, 7, and 9. And you're also going to need the 24 sections that include 3 and 9. So the smaller section. And we assembled these last week, remember? I've assembled half of them. I still got to get busy. Clues 3 and 9. So you'll need these and put these off to the side until you're done paper piecing, right? So that's what these notes up here are for. And then the colors that we're going to be sewing with this week are the brown, the background, the light pink, and the dark pink. Now here's some good news, y'all. My math was not mathing last week. Y'all, there's a reason why I did not excel in any of my math classes. And you can forget trigonometry, algebra, all the bras, trig, and all those classes. They were not in my wheelhouse, okay? I was more into like business type of classes, and math was not my strong suit. Last week is a great indicator of that. But there's good news, okay? So when you're cutting out your pieces this week using your templates, if you cut 144 B pieces last week, you have about 70 some extras. So you don't have to cut these, right? But if you caught my mistake and you only cut out 72 last week, then you'll need 48 pieces this week, okay? So that's what that little note is. If you cut 144 B pieces during clue number 9, use your leftovers. You won't have to cut the B templates right here. You already have them, okay? So you did a little bit of work ahead of time. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse y'all. I added numbers before I was supposed to add. So it gave me 144. But you only needed 72 last week, okay? All right, and then for the C, for the background fabric, you're going to need the C template for the small triangle units. That's your square, right? They're labeled small triangle unit C. You also need the C template for the big unit up here. And the big template, the B unit for the big unit B. Can you tell it's been a long day already? Background fabric, you're using this template right here, right? You'll need 4 pieces of those. For the light pink fabric, the C template for the big unit, right here, you need 4. For the dark pink fabric, the same template, you need 4. And it's written right on your templates as well, okay? So if you lose track, it's on there. Was that confusing? I think I confused myself. But it's all labeled. Okay, and I'm pretty sure I double-checked my math this week. And if you cut 144 B pieces from clue number 9, you're going to have a whole bunch left over, and this week you're only using half of them. So save what you have left over, because when I said we've only done 24 sashing units, we still have 24 left to do for this quilt, so you will be using them. You've got a head start on another clue, okay? All right, so there's your instructions and your templates for cutting. The foundation PDF is 2 pages this week, y'all, and you're going to be printing 4 copies. That's going to give you 4 big units. This is your big unit, and it's going to give you 24 of your small units, right? This should look familiar. We did 24 of these last week. We're doing some more this week. We got to work them in because we still have quite a bit left to do, right? I'm not trying to discourage you or myself. So this week we're just going to knock out 24 of them, right? All right, I've already stapled them together. Let me go and cut these out. And this week I'm going to be piecing one big unit, one little unit with you. Although, you know what? We did this last week. We sure did. But I'm going to go ahead and do it again this week. And then when we're done with that, we're going to join them to the pieces that I had you pull from previous clues. Okay? Are you excited? I hope so. Let me go cut these out and we'll be right back. Okay, y'all, let's start with some measurements. This piece here, let me bring it off the grid so that you can see a little bit easier. From the flat edge here to the flat edge here is 4.5 inches. Okay, I just measured it. And the bigger unit, from the flat edge there, it's not wanting to fit in the screen, to the flat edge there, 12.5 inches. Okay, so there's your measurements for this week. Let's go ahead and start the piecing with the big unit because that's going to take the longest, right? And we're going to flip the right side over. It does have a sewing order on there, but if you want to start on one end and work towards the other, that's absolutely fine. We're going to flip it over. I'm going to add some glue right in there. We're bringing over one of the B template fabrics for the big unit. It's a background fabric. And we're placing that with the right sides facing up. Yeah, those pretzels were so good. I've never made pretzels before. Have you made them? Next, I want to do the whole pretzel, but the nuggets were just super easy. All right, number 2 is right over here on this side, the dark pink fabric. So let's bring in the C template for the big unit. There we go. And if you flip that up, there's your long edge of the triangle. So like this, and we're flipping it over. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch the screen and yeah, we're going to get busy sewing. That's not the right screen. There we go. Okay. Let's bring this on over. And we're sewing on that line between 1 and 2. I know one thing, I have had a busy week. I am working on some t-shirt quilts, y'all. Still working on those 2 t-shirt quilts. The good news is I have them quilted. I've made the bindings. I just have to bind them. And they'll be done. We're going to cut that extra off. And I'm doing that. I'm just eyeballing it, y'all, because I forgot to bring over my 1/4 inch ruler. So I'm just eyeballing it. Yeah, I'll go grab that here in a second. We're going to add some glue right here in that space. It is a lot faster to just eyeball it. But if you're not comfortable doing that, by all means, don't. All right, so there's that piece. Then we're going to flip it over. We need the background fabric using the C template. There we go. And this time, the long side of the triangle is over here, right? Dun, 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 like that. And then we're going to just flip that right on over. All right, let's sew that one. Ta-da! We're going to lift up the paper on that piece. We're going to accurately trim away the extra fabric. And flip that fabric right on over and give that a press. Word on the street is that the mini caterpillars are in. They've been on pre-order for a little while now, but the email just came through and they have them in the shop now. I actually really like the mini. If you have problems seeing, right, I think this board gets bright. This board gets brighter than what I can turn on during a video. The mini board gets like twice as bright. And it's great for travel if you do a lot of quilt retreats. All right, so there was piece 3. And then piece 4 is over here. That is using the light pink from the C template. We're going to flip up that fabric right there, and our long side of the triangle is up against this background, right? So like that. Basically the flying geese unit with 2 extra triangles on the ends, right? I'm going to tell you, I don't know that my triangle blocks would be turning out so perfectly if I was not paper piecing. I can tell you that right now. And we're going to flip this up. The good news is there's only 4 of these big units that we're sewing this week, right? So I really feel like that part's going to go by quickly. And then there's 24 sashing units to make, right, to paper piece. After last week, you should have that down packed, right? You should be able to whiz through the 24 for this week after last week. I say that and I have not even finished clue 9 yet. Oh my glory. All right, and then the last piece, piece number 5, is using the C template with the background fabric. When we flip up the fabric, we see the long part of the triangles going this way. So it'll be like this, and then flip it over. All right, and we're trimming. Oh, guess what else? After last week, I ordered the rotating clear mat for my light pad. And I cannot wait to get it. I think it's going to speed up the trimming of all of these pieces. And I'll probably wish I had it from the very beginning. I haven't gotten it yet, but I did order it. I think it's round, rotating clear mat. And I think it's 12 inches wide, if I remember correctly. I cannot wait to get that thing. I used to have a rotating mat, and it was actually like 15 inches. It was a square one. I wasn't a huge fan of the way it rotated. It was a Fiskars, and I felt like it took some effort to rotate that thing. But I still really enjoyed using it. But I guess not that much because I haven't been able to find that thing for a couple years now. Okay, so there is this unit before we square it up, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just set this off to the side. And we're going to square this up in just a minute. We're going to knock out this piece. I don't even know that I need to do this piece with you because we did it last week. But we're going to go ahead and do it. Just so I can spend some time with you, really. We're bringing in the C small triangle unit. That's a background fabric. Right side facing up. And then 2 is over here, and it's using the B template. And I had a whole bunch left over because I cut out 144 last week. So the long part of the triangle is down here like that. And we're flipping it right on over. I would have been really sad if I had you cut out a whole bunch of stuff that we weren't going to use in the remaining of the quilt. I would have been devastated. But because I knew we'd be using some the very next week, I didn't even make a post about it. We're going to be using all of them, so don't worry too much. You've just done some work ahead of time. Let's add a little bit of glue right there. It looks like it's going to rain, which our garden could really use some rain, so I'm not going to complain at all. Our peaches are about like this big. See that? There you go. They're about that big. But the sad news is the 14 plums that we had on our tree, they just fell off. I showed a video of them a couple weeks ago, right? And I showed you how big they were. They look like cherry size, right? And then all of a sudden, all you really had to do was barely touch it, and the whole thing, the plum and the stem, would just fall to the ground. We're kind of thinking either they got shocked because they grew like that, and then we had like 3 or 4 days of really cold temps, or the tree is so young we really didn't expect any plums this year anyway, so maybe it was just not mature enough to grow the plums. Do you know what I'm saying? All right, focus, Lisa. The long part of the triangle is up here like that. I'm sitting here talking about plums. Okay, let's go and add this piece. just got scared for a second. I thought for a second I had forgot to hit record. And I would have done all of this and had to do it all over again. Okay, so just 3 pieces on this unit, y'all know. Here we go. And let's flip it over and press it down. Okay, so let me just straighten up just real quick. I'm going to bring you on over here. Here we go. And I'm going to clean these units up nice and pretty. Here comes Harlan. Usually I film the videos earlier in the day. But y'all, I've had some sublimation orders come through, and yeah, I've been printing all day up until this afternoon, so no pressure. I'm recording this on Thursday, the day before the video comes out. Okay, so here is that piece. Isn't that lovely? Let me just clean up the smaller unit. And no pressure, nothing like waiting to the last minute to do something. But the good news is I work well under pressure. It also might be why my blood pressure is so high. I don't know. But I did eat some beets today with my lunch, and I feel fantastic. Okay. All right, we'll just scoot all that mess off to the side there. And y'all know what this unit looks like. Ta-da! All right, so 24 of these this week, 4 of these this week, and then we can start assembling some chunks. So let's come back over here. And we don't need this. So let's just turn that off. And you know what? I'm going to zoom back out a little bit because this longer piece, it's kind of hard for you to see. Okay, I think that's better. The whole unit can now fit in the screen. So this is what we're working with. These are our clues from this week. And then I mentioned that you're going to bring in your 4 units from clue number 5, right? That is going to go. That is going to go just like that. See that? Right in the corner. Let's go ahead and do that before we do the sashing pieces. So the way that I'm going to do this is they're going to be arranged just like that, right? So we're going to flip clue number 5 right down onto clue number 10, just like this. And let me see. Unfortunately, it'll be pretty difficult because this is a diagonal seam to nest these seams, right? So let me grab a pin. Here Here we go. So the way I'm going to make sure to line them up perfectly, right, is right in this seam right there. See that? I'm going to put my pin right in that point right there. It's going to come out just like that, right in that seam. And then, let me scoot that back onto the pin, right? I'm going to insert it right into the tip of that triangle, and let's see if that comes out right. So it looks like I need to back up just a little tiny bit, right? There we go. See that? So it's right in the tip of piece number 1. So now I'm just going to scoot them together on that pin. Scoot and line them up. And then I'm going to line up that edge. And let me find some binding clips because I think that that would work better for me. Okay, here's some binding clips. So we have our points matched up. Just going to line up that raw edge just like that. I'm going to put a pin or a clip right there. And then I'm going to match up that edge there. I'm going to put a clip there. And now I'm just going to pinch this, right, so there's no movement. I can take that pin out and put a clip there. So we're going to bring this over to the sewing machine, and we are sewing right on that line. Now if you are using the method where you're not sewing through the paper, right, then you're going to want to set your machine to a 1/4 inch seam allowance for this part, right? Okay, so let's come on over to the sewing machine. Oh, the light must have changed. Let me fix that. Okay. The sun went in and it got cloudy. That didn't sound good, did it? All right, we're going to just line my needle up right in line with that line there on the paper. And we're just sewing right on that line all the way down. Okay, are you ready to see what this piece looks like? Let's come on back over here. And let me scoot all these pieces over because I am going to want to press this. Let me turn on my iron. Put all these pieces away so I don't lose them. Don't want to have to remake clues if I don't have to. And I'm scooting my pressing board over because it's just right here conveniently. All right, and let me grab my little pokey tool from the Dollar Tree. So before I open up this seam, I do want to remove the nuggets of paper from that seam, right? And I like to just score it. I mean, I've used a really small stitch, so it tears pretty easily. But I think scoring it helps too. course, sometimes I'm a little like haphazard with my glue. And I just glue and flip my fabrics right as I'm working along, and sometimes I get glue, and that's the allowance. I'm going to tell you, I have loved this newsprint paper for paper piecing. It's a game changer. It just tears so easily. All right, so there's my nuggets removed from both sides of that seam, right? So let's just go ahead and open this up. I'm going to just start working this seam just to get these two pieces to lay nice and flat. And then we're going to open it up. See how it's open? And now we are just pressing. I'm nervous to flip this around. Y'all, this is the first time I've pieced this unit. It's here with you. I'm making this quilt right along with you, and this is my first time making this quilt. You ready to flip it over? Not too bad, right? Let's go ahead and press. This is exciting. I cannot wait to start seeing more sections come together, right? So this is what this unit's going to look like. Now you're going to say, what is this piece here and what is that piece there? Don't worry. That's going to be in a seam allowance, right? So you're not going to see those little nuggets from those pieces. So this is what your piece will look like. Isn't that fantastic? You're going to end up with 4 sections just like this. This is the 4 corners of your quilt before the borders, right? So there you go. And from the back, this is what it looks like. Now you're going to set these 4 chunks in your bin. We're not going to be messing with them for a little while. Now our sashing pieces, let's come on over here. So this is the piece we did this week. We have these pieces that come together. Oh, let's scooch it down this way. There you go. They're going to come together just like that. So let's go ahead and flip this onto the smaller piece. We'll start there. And we're going to go ahead and sew that seam right there. I moved them. A little thread caught right in there. There we go. Alright, we're going to come back on over here. I'm going to go ahead and remove the little nuggets of paper. Last week I kept saying fabric. Remove the nuggets of fabric. Pretty easy, right? Let's go ahead and open up that sashing. We're going to press this first seam before we add the next section. Pressing. I don't know why I put my iron so far away. I have to really reach for it. See that? Okay. After adding that first chunk, we have two sections that come together just like that. See that? Alright, so what I'm going to do is flip over this section. You could flip over this section if you want. It's the same thing. See that? But here we go. We're going to flip it right on over and match up that seam right there. When you bring it to the sewing machine, it's going to look a little haywire, right? Just bring it on over. I don't know why I keep doing that. I start sewing before I've even lowered the presser foot. So yeah, I guess there is quite a bit of sewing to do this week, isn't it? 24 paper piece units for the sashing, 4 paper piece units for the corners, and then joining everything. I guess that is quite a bit of sewing. Somehow I have a feeling I'm going to get a little behind this week. Somehow I feel that. We're going to work that seam over. We're going to work that seam over. Mother's Day is this coming Sunday. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Happy Mother's Day. Do y'all have any plans for this Sunday? Pressing that seam. Maybe I'll do some sewing. Maybe that's what we'll do. Sunday evening. Doesn't that sound like a good plan? Do some sewing. Y'all, I am just so happy with the way that this sashing has turned out. You're going to see it here in just a second. I just want to give it a good press so it's all nice and flat and pretty. Ta-da! Let me make this bigger on the screen. There we go. Isn't that nice and pretty? It's got a little bow to it. I think it's because I pressed it funny. There we go. You want to take some measurements of this piece? In case you're wondering, from the edge to the edge, that's interesting, 12 inches. No, hold on, I'm reading my ruler wrong. Don't listen to me. 12 1/4 inches. 12 1/4 inches. That's interesting. Here's a true test. From the flat. There we go. We will be joining Eventually. We're not going to do it yet, so don't do it yet. But we will be joining a sashing piece to this piece. So we can just double check, right? The very flat part there and the very flat part right there. Same size as our sashing. See that? We can turn it around just like that. We can even just bring it right up on there like that. If I was doing this like this, like that. See that? There we go. There's a little smidgen here and there. I think that's okay though. I'm going to have to start paying real close attention on how I'm pressing my sashing pieces. Because see, mine's got a little bow in it. Ultimately, I think it'll be fine. Nothing that a good hot iron won't fix. I don't think, right? So there we go. Finished units just like that. We've done quite a bit of work already to this point, haven't we? Let me clean this stuff up. Now hopefully I have not confused y'all this week. And again, I apologize for doing the math wrong last week. I just added in the wrong order, that's all. But yeah, we're going to use all those pieces. But that's where we are. Do you see why I called mine Sundae Stars? Because this is the color of like a strawberry sundae to me. Right? I'm going to absolutely love this quilt. Someone, and right off the top of my head, I can't remember who it was, in the Zoom, and I don't think it was last week, I think it was the week before that, asked me how I plan on quilting this quilt. Have you started thinking about that? I think an all over edge to edge design will be the way to go for me. But I do think that this quilt's going to lend to a lot of areas for some custom quilting, if that's your thing. Right? I still have quilts from last year to quilt and the year before that. So I don't think I'll be doing any custom quilting. But have you started thinking about how you're going to quilt this quilt? All right, everybody. Thank y'all so much for dealing with me and my little goof ups. And sometimes I get a little sidetracked during the videos. But yeah, it's so much fun to hang out with you week to week. Also, thank you for your patience while I share little updates about things that are going on here. I just feel like it gives you an opportunity to get to know me a little bit better, right? And maybe spark some ideas of some stuff. You know, I feel like we should always be learning something new, right? And I feel like if you feel like your life is boring, you're in control to change that, right? And learning something new just brings a level of excitement that you might be missing, right? Maybe it's just me. All right, everybody. I look forward to seeing you next week for clue number 11. And it dawned on me while we were sewing this clue that there's a lot of sewing this week. Some of you are going to be happy about that. And there's some of you who are going to be like, oh, there's a lot of sewing this week. Especially if you're still catching up from clue number 9 like I am. But it's all good. I'm having so much fun, and I hope you are too. I'll see you next Friday for clue number 11, okay? Bye, everybody.